Hello, this is Donna Devane, the Barefoot Guru, owner and operator right here at the Awakened Radio Network. And I want to tell you about something absolutely exciting that we are now offering in our Awakened store. Water kefir, live probiotics. It does a body good. Part of being healthy is having your body balanced from the inside out. And I know no better, no easier, no better tasting way than fruit-flavored water kefir. The instructions are in the store, as well as the water crystals. It's such an easy process. You and your children will love it. David Lloyd, one of our hosts, said it's like a science experiment in your kitchen. You add your water crystals, natural sugar and water. You have a 2-day water fermentation process. Then you add your flavor, your fruit or your fruit juice, and let it sit for another 1 to 2 days. Refrigerate and drink. It couldn't be easier, and it couldn't be any tastier. My personal favorite is pomegranate and blueberry and mango. I like those two. But you can flavor it however you and your family enjoy the taste. Come on, get happy, get healthy, get empowered from the inside out. A happy, healthy body goes a long way to a happy, healthy life. Check out awakenedradio.net today. Look at the top where it says Awakened Store. Once on that page, click the probiotics category. You will see kefir right there, ready to ship out. And I generally ship out within a day or two of your purchase. So within a week, you and your family can be well on your way to having happy, healthy body, happy, healthy lives. Peace.
Welcome to Your Unfolding Senses. I'm your host, Ragozzine, and this show is about everything intuition. And it's brought to you by Intuition by Rob.net. Hello and welcome to the show. I'm Rob Ragozzine. This is Your Unfolding Senses. It's March 14th. 2013. This show is all about allowing yourself the opportunity to explore everything, intuition, as I just said, your full intuitive sensory capabilities in practical and fun ways. And really knowing, like I just said, that everything can be exciting and fun, and it could be very useful to connect to your intuition. Listening to your intuition really allows you to feel more connected to yourself and your purpose and your life in a deeper way. Please join us in the chat room if you're not here yet at awakenradio.net and click on the live chat tab, or join us on the air by adding Awaken Radio to Skype and calling in if you have a question, or dialing 334-649-7204. And if you're so inclined, you can come to awakenradio.net and click on one of the donate buttons at the top of all the pages and make a small donation or any size that you'd like to the radio station to help us grow and keep going. And please feel free to call in or post in the chat if you like about any question you have related to intuition. It could be a symbol or a sign or recurring numbers or a dream or any kind of intuitive hit that you've been getting on a regular basis, or anything else really. Any questions from last week, please do call in or post in the chat room and I'll try to answer them. Today's show will be all about connecting with and paying attention to your emotions. We often notice that we feel anxious or excited or nervous, pensive, maybe just numb or unsure, yet we tend to dismiss these feelings when they come up. So we're trying to find a way to better connect to these feelings and not push them aside and poo-poo them or say, oh, that didn't matter, but then to recognize later on that it could have helped you in some way. So you might even post in the chat room how you recognized something that you were picking up on and kept pushing it aside and later discovered that it might have helped you. But first, we'll do a short meditation to connect with our bodies and settle in and let go of the energy from the day and begin to recognize our inner self and our inner voice and really settle in to do some intuitive work. So making sure you're sitting comfortably or lying down, closing your eyes, and slowly taking some gentle breaths and releasing that stress or worry or doubt, and gently connecting with your inner calm, your inner tranquility, and your sense of inner knowing. And allow the tranquility to fill your body, and believe, feel, and know that your answers are within you. You may even receive an answer to a question that you've had for a while. But be patient. If nothing comes, that's okay. Just spend some time here and connect to your body, connect to your senses. Notice any particular area of your body that may be calling for attention. And maybe a word or a symbol or a phrase will come into your mind. Just note that and thank your intuition for that symbol. And again, nothing comes, that's okay. Just continue breathing slowly and relaxing into your inner voice, your inner self. Allow yourself a few moments here. And when you're ready, you can begin to breathe normally, slowly bringing your awareness back to the room, gently opening your eyes, but taking your time to step back into the room. Now, I'm posting my first intuitive challenge into the chat room, but don't necessarily click on the link until you've given your intuition a chance to work. And since we're working with emotions today, I'd like to mention that not stressing over it and not forcing yourself to sense something is the first and best method of trying to connect with your intuition. And make sure you're comfortable. If you're walking around and doing other tasks, maybe find a chair to sit down for this. It's only a short time, and to get comfortable and try to make space and time for your inner voice. And let go of any kind of critical inner voice that says, oh, this is silly, I can't do it. Yes, you can. Pay attention to how you feel, and you might get a flash of a feeling or a memory. Don't dismiss it. Just pay attention to it and note it and see if it's connected to this intuitive challenge or not. Maybe it's connected to something else, but since you're doing this now, regard it that it could be related. Notice any body sensations and ask yourself what they might be connected to. What memories, what feelings, maybe it relates to the secret object. Notice shapes and colors, but also those colors and shapes that are related to the emotions, which we usually push aside. And notice again the thoughts that come. Pay especially close attention to the positive and negative emotions and notice which ones seem to keep coming back. They often get stronger when we ignore them or push them aside. They get stronger so that you pay attention to them. And if you're not getting anything at all, you might try picking up a pen and writing down whatever comes to mind. So I welcome any hints or intuitive hits that you might have had as I've been talking in the chat room, or you can call in and we can talk about what the secret object is. And we already have one intuitive hit from Donna in the chat room, and she says, a ball. And can you intuit what color this object is? it is round. I will have to give you that. So you do notice the correct shape. It is round, but can you determine what the color is, what the texture is, what memories is it connected to, what emotions is it connected to especially? And again, if you can use this hint to jumpstart your own intuition and maybe see what color it is, what the object actually is. Don't feel like it's cheating. We're all really connected at some level anyway. So you have actually made a correct intuitive hit. And Donna mentions grapefruit, and that's really close. It's actually an orange. So you win the intuitive challenge, the first intuitive challenge for tonight. I'll post another one after the break when we come back. And she almost said Saturn. And she also mentioned in the chat room that she remembered or was connected to her fridge and her nose was tickly. So just to look at that and to notice how that might have been connected to an important memory or a feeling related to oranges, whatever that might be. And you can click through the link that I posted in the chat room, and I will post it on my forum page as well, so you can actually see the orange for yourself. And again, pay attention to what emotions you might have had during the challenge. Just notice which ones might have passed through your awareness. And it's important not to get stuck in them, just to notice them, feel them, and then let them go. Now, I'd like to talk about a weekly practice that might help you to connect with your intuition and work on a deeper level. And as I've been talking about the tarot in the past, I'd like to invite you to explore a card a week. I don't know if you took up the challenge last week, which was to open up your deck and begin exploring. Well, now here's a way to explore the tarot at a deeper level. It's choose one card for the whole week. And for this week, I picked a card, and it was the Queen of Wands. And depending on where you are in your life or what experiences you've had, the card can mean many different things. And again, keep the book about the card meaning on the shelf. I've been to workshops where they give you a deck of cards and then they have you throw away the tiny booklet that comes with it. But anyway, the Queen can represent a person, but also the person within you. And to me, what I heard her saying was, come with me this way. So she was guiding me and offering me guidance. And it felt almost as an invitation for allowing more opening, more allowing a connection, at least a deeper connection to my heart chakra. And I was compelled to bring out a red garnet crystal on my desk that's in front of me so that I can connect with that energy. And you might wear, if you're compelled to work with your heart chakra, you might wear red or some sort of clothing that's red or striped or some sort of patterns. As long as it feels to you that it's connected to your heart chakra, the intention is clear that you're trying to keep it open and foster greater opening. Now, with the card that you've picked for the week, you might ask some of the following questions, like, what guidance do I most need? What guidance can I offer others? What are my emotional needs right now? And how can these be met? And what tools might be appropriate right now? So for me, it felt like perhaps some meditations might be very effective to not only connect with my heart chakra, but also the lower chakras, and to foster the opening of them. And since I was talking about the garnet, you might also ask, well, what stones might I work with right now? What chakras might need to be focused on? And when you do focus on one, it's always important to work with all of them so they stay in balance. And one of the biggest questions you might ask is, what needs to be expressed? So really connecting with your emotions and recognizing what does actually need to be expressed. And when that's connected to is, on a deeper level, is what aspect of my shadow needs to be addressed when looking at this. So you might look, when you're getting a female-related card, for instance, the Queen of Wands, you might look to, again, the opening and the allowing and looking at the needs of your heart chakra and recognizing its importance in your life. And yes, pick one card to work with all week and to look at some of these questions as a starter, and then maybe you can come up with your own questions as you begin to work with this practice on a weekly basis. And basically to notice what particular cards, what particular shapes, what particular images keep coming up. And as we're talking about emotions this week, to notice how you feel initially upon drawing the card. For me, it felt really cool, really good to draw the Queen of Wands because it felt like an invitation to continue walking the way I'm walking. And I'm really looking at some different ways of feeding myself nutritionally and feeding myself on many different levels. And I've been doing some research around aquaponics and hydroponics, growing food at home or joining food co-op, and it felt like a really good card for the week in that regard. And it feels really connected to that. So for me, that was a really good card to draw, but ultimately all the cards are good as they can be offering you guidance as to what you might need at this time. And a really good idea when you're working with the cards is to begin to not only write down your readings for yourself, but to begin to read to yourself out loud. So as you're reading the meaning of the card, to verbalize what you're intuiting about the card and to hear yourself speak and to notice the way in which you're speaking to yourself and to speak with kindness and compassion and just to notice how you are with yourself and the words that you typically use and the phrases. And it'll be that much more powerful out loud than just writing it down on paper because you can easily dismiss the words when they're on paper. You might read them and not necessarily let them sink in. So hearing them out loud will help you to have the words sink in. And I think we have a caller on there.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Who is this?
This is
Who am I
Jasmine.
speaking?
This is
Jasmine? Hi, Jasmine.
Yes. How are you guys?
Doing great tonight. How are you?
I'm good.
How can I help you, Jasmine?
Do I have a question?
I don't know.
It's like I feel like it's about applying myself. I know everything and I want to apply it more.
You want to integrate what you've learned.
Yeah, and I have. I've seen a lot of coincidences, like every day. You know, I try to meditate 15 minutes a day at least, and ever since I've started, it's like coincidence after coincidence, and I kind of want to take a leap of, I don't know, to feel more secure, you know? Like, sometimes I'm like in two different worlds. Like, I know the truth, and then for some reason, old habits come up, you know?
So how do you feel when you think about something that bothers you?
Like my hair. My hair used to be really long, and for the past 4 years it's been short.
How does that
And
feel when you think about it?
frustration.
Frustration.
Right.
Really talking about some perhaps external event that stresses you out, not necessarily your hair because you can let that grow longer, but some sort of external event. It might be someone that you're in a disagreement with. It might be the news. It might be any of that. How do you feel when you hear that or face that?
Adversity.
Adversity?
When I face the contrast of adversity, it's almost like I witness it for what it is. And sometimes I witness it. First, I don't witness it until later. Like, you know what I mean?
I'm not sure that I follow you, but I kind of...
Like, when something bad happens, I may feed into it. I may react before really realizing what is bothering me.
Yes. So I recommend compassion as in your awareness to just remind yourself to have compassion for yourself and for maybe the other people who are affected at the same time when you're feeling that way. Just to bring your hand to your heart and to say something like, this too shall pass. And then I've talked about Tonglen before. I don't know if you've heard those shows, but that's a way to do meditation on the spot, sort of, where you're breathing in the pain, whatever's bothering you. So you can say, I'm breathing in pain and I'm breathing out joy and celebration. And it's transforming the pain in your heart and releasing it as joy and celebration. Whatever is troubling you, you can breathe that in for yourself and release it as joy, celebration, ease, whatever it is. And then maybe do it for your family, for your community, for your state, for the whole country. But those things can take baby steps to get there. First, you have to remind yourself to have compassion for yourself, to know that we're all growing, we're all at different places, and to recognize that, and not to feel bad about where you are, and to remind yourself that's okay. I'm growing, I'm learning as a person, and you can still have these tools to help you to change the way you feel on the spot, as Pema Chodron says.
Right.
Does that make sense to you?
Makes perfect, crystal clear.
Okay. Well, thank you for calling in.
Thank you. What's your name?
Rob Ragozzine. I'm on every Thursday at 8.
Okay, well, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Jasmine.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay. And since we were just talking about compassion, I found a great exercise from John Assaraf, who talked about how to exercise your frontal lobe this week. And it's pretty simple. All you have to do is do some stretches and then begin to count the number of breaths that you're taking for about a minute. And then this will help to activate your frontal lobe. And when that happens, you'll become magically more organized, more productive, and less stressed, because when your frontal lobe is activated as you're doing the counting, it's beginning to lessen the feelings of anxiety, depression, doubt, all that stuff. And you'll also be activating your parietal lobe, and that, I guess, helps to improve your self-esteem and sense of self-worth. So it's a really simple tool to remind yourself about. Just when you're feeling nervous, sit down, find a comfortable place, and begin to count your breaths. You don't have to change the way that you're breathing. Just count your breaths. And it might be for a minute, it might be for 2, and just try doing that and see how you begin to feel the stress lessen, and maybe you'll be able to do another step that'll help you to feel even better, such as the Tonglen that I talked about. And I've uploaded it to Tonglen. I've uploaded the Tonglen meditation for free to SoundCloud, so you can do a search on my name, Rob Ragozzine, and you'll find it on SoundCloud, and you can download that. And I've also talked about it in previous shows, and it's on my Facebook page, so you can find it for free in a lot of different locales. And you can also search on Pema Chodron and Tonglen, as she does a lot of talking and teaching about it. Now, as we're talking about emotions tonight, it's important again to remember your meditation. And if you're not comfortable sitting and doing a sitting meditation, there are other forms of meditation that you can do that allow you to be more fluid, more dynamic. You might even consider Tai Chi or yoga to be a meditation. But I'd like to talk about a walking meditation. And again, I posted this to my Twitter and my Facebook accounts, so you can find the information there for free. And what this is you find a short path, usually not very long. If it's circular, that's all the better and can be a lot more helpful for you in that way, because you'll be walking the path, and if it's a straight path, you'll not want to turn around and remember to have to turn around when you come to the end of it. If you can find a circular path that's short, that maybe in your backyard you can have a little garden path, that might be a good exercise to walk around. And in silence, you'll want to turn off your phone, turn off your radio, turn off your MP3 player, and probably do this alone or with someone that is a reasonable distance behind you. It's about developing a connection to your inner self, so you're not looking at the birds and the trees and nature. You'll still want to pay attention to the path, but you don't need to count every single stone on the path. So it's just gently walking along the path at a reasonable pace and paying attention to the sounds that are coming up within you, paying attention to the thoughts, and just letting them go as they come, not dwelling on anything, not focusing on anything, just allowing yourself to take one step at a time, and one foot along moves, and then the next, and then the next, and you're gradually moving down the path, and it allows you to find the space in your life to connect with meditation that's not necessarily sitting on the cushion, but walking and allowing yourself to still connect with what may come up while you're sitting on the cushion. So give that a try and see how it works for you. It might not necessarily be your meditation tool of choice, but it might work for you if sitting on a cushion isn't your thing. We'll talk about some other techniques that can work as well later in the show, but remind yourself. And since we're at about a minute to break, I'd like to remind you that in half an hour, Christina Chandler's on with her show, Your Aura Connection. So stay tuned for that. And thank you for joining me tonight for this show. And when we come back, we'll have another intuitive challenge. So make sure your emotions are clear and ready.
You're listening to the Awaken Radio Network. Visit the station's website at www.awakenradio.net. Our navigation links are located at the top of the page under the banner. Visit our forums to converse with our hosts. See our guests will be on the interview page. You can join in the conversations on our live chat room page. Thank you for listening to Awaken Radio Network. Awaken Radio Network is a radio station focused on reminding you how powerful you are. Our hosts share on self-healing, politics, UFOs, spiritual awakening, and everything in between. Join us in the chat room at awakenradio.net or listen on your mobile device through tunein.com. Awaken Radio Network is brought to you by our advertisers, sponsors, hosts, and listeners like you. Shop at our on-site store and make donations to the station. Visit awakenradio.net to chat, shop, and donate. Thank you for keeping the energy flowing and the growth going.
Welcome to Your Unfolding Senses. I'm your host, Ragozzine, and this show is about everything intuition. And it's brought to you by Intuition by Rob.net. We're back. Please call in at 334-649-7204 if you have a question for me about anything we've talked about tonight, or add Awakened Radio to your Skype, or come to the awakenradio.net chat room by coming to Awakened Radio and clicking on the live chat tab. As we're talking about emotional awareness tonight, we'll get into another meditation practice that will help you to be aware of when you're about to step into the muck, shall we say. But we have the second intuitive challenge that I'm pasting into the chat room. Again, be aware of the emotions that you're feeling as you're sensing into what this object might be. Pay attention to whatever's coming into your awareness and try not to be dismissive of it. And pay, as I was talking about before, pay close attention to your stronger emotions, as they can be more connected to what this object really is. So you may want to sit down, or at least stop being active and to tune in to your inner silence. So you can post your intuitive hits in the chat room, or you can call in and we can work on this second object if you like. Again, as we're discussing emotions, it's about really sensing those emotions that may be related to this particular object, and just to notice how they help you to connect to your intuition, and to notice which ones seem familiar, which ones you seem to dismiss a lot, and to see how they may be offering you guidance and wisdom that you just throw away by dismissing them. Now, as we want to be aware of ourselves and try to avoid stepping into a difficult situation, we want to begin to find a way to notice our reactivity and how it might, ask ourselves how it might be offering us guidance. And I'm going to continue to talk about this unless someone posts any intuitive hits that they have in the chat room. So feel free. And Ingrid in the chat room says she first saw a round circle of light and then a balloon. And Donna mentions she's feeling a pulsation in her third eye. I'm not sure that any of those hits are very close to the object. I'd ask you to try to connect them to something physical. Well, a balloon, I guess, is physical, but something that might be connected to those hits, such as a memory or a feeling or your emotions, and just see what they might mean to you. And often, right before we're pulled into a situation where we say something we shouldn't, or we do something that we feel bad about later, we'll get feeling or a nudge. We just won't feel right. Hello? I believe we have a call on the line.
Yes, you do. You have a caller on the line. This is Ingrid.
Hello, Ingrid.
Hi, Rob.
How are you, Ingrid?
I'm doing good. I wanted to call in because this is a very interesting topic from you, of course, and that's why I listen in. And Donna's saying green bean.
Green up.
Is it a green bean?
It's not a bean.
Okay. But you got the color.
You got the color.
Awesome. So the reason I called in is because one of the experiences that I have with your wonderful, fun games is that I think pick up on a lot of other things. So I wanted to see if you could talk about that, about how sometimes maybe what's happened is that the person who's trying to tune in might be picking up on other things. I had a class not too long ago regarding that, and people were picking up things from other groups. Like I segmented them into groups, and sometimes the person in group 1 was picking up on things from group 2, which is really funny. So I wanted to see if you could expand on that and help us out with understanding that better.
Well, that's entirely possible. That's a lot about what psychometry is about, and I think I talked about that in an early show where you might hold someone's keys and start to tell them things about their life that they didn't tell you and you didn't have any idea about in the first place, but simply by holding their keys or some other personal object, you're able to pick up on scenes and images and feelings from their life.
Okay. And so when people are trying to really hone in, is there like some guidance you can give on that, like how they can hone in better so that it's, because, you know, I find for myself too that sometimes even when I'm reading someone's energy, if there are other people or other things around, I honestly can be picking up on other things, and the person will say, nope, that's not me, you know. And I know a lot of readers who I've talked to who are friends of mine also sometimes say that makes them feel bad because they feel like they didn't get the person. And I remind them, you know, you're trying to pick up or, you know, hone in on one individual or one thing, and it's like being an antenna that can pick up, you know, everything on the FM frequency, for example, which Donna talks about the FM frequency. But, you know, everything in that possible realm of existence, right?
We're all connected, and that's why I mentioned the psychometry first, because not only can you connect to that, like you were talking about, you can connect to the previous group that was in the same room.
Right.
You can connect to their energy. So you can connect to that energy, and you can especially connect to that energy after a powerful experience, hence the need when you first move into a new home to smudge it, to clear the energy from the home, to keep it from being stagnated. Again, that's when Feng Shui comes in too, so you can not have, you know, your furniture arranged all kinds of haphazardly. You want it so the energy flows smoothly through your home. So it's all related. And I'm just trying to tonight talk about how when we connect to our emotions, we can find out what they're trying to protect us from or guide us towards. And that's really, we often don't recognize it, or we always push it aside. So what you're talking about is people able to tune in to other people's emotions or emotional baggage per se, or whatever it is.
Right. Okay, well, thank you so much for talking with me and giving us some more clarity on that. I appreciate it.
Does that help you?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, cool.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thanks. I'm going to keep listening in.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Ingrid.
All right, bye-bye.
And in case you missed it, if you were in the chat room, the secret object was a pen, and it was sort of roundish. I guess that's where the balloon might come in. And it has, of course, a silver tip and bottom. So you can look at it, the picture in the forum, or if you're in the chat room, you can look at that in the chat room too. And again, I'll post it to my website later on. But you can see it in the forum if you didn't get a chance to see it and or hear the show live. So again, just to see, we had some intuitive guesses around the balloon. So the pen is sort of roundish and it is green, and there was some intuitive hits around shininess. So it does sort of have the silver bits and the greenness. So just to pay attention to what you were picking up yourself and to notice how you were feeling. Maybe you didn't like writing in school, and I don't even know if they do that anymore, but maybe you had memories about writing and you don't like that, but just to notice whatever memories or feelings came up, especially your emotions. Now, just as we were talking about before, noticing your emotional reactivity. So when you're about to step into a situation that you don't necessarily want to be in or feel that you'll regret later, just to recognize how you feel, to pay attention to that on a more regular basis. Not every minute, obviously, but just to pay attention so you're not pulled. You can follow your emotions rather than being led by them. And you won't blow up and go from seemingly simple being normal to all of a sudden being angry and loud and obnoxious because someone triggered something in you. It's recognizing your triggers, paying attention to the shadow, and not necessarily being judgmental and having compassion for yourself. So simply bringing it more attention to your life, not being stressed about the situation, and to the degree that you're able to be attentive, we can pay attention to the urge to step into the trap while we still can manage it. And for me, when my life gets busy and filled with activity, it's easy for me to give into the urge to pull deeper into myself and just give into the urge to spend time alone. And I'm practicing not doing that. I don't know, you might notice some triggers of your own, and you might bring compassion to those to find a new pattern for yourself and notice what your urges are, what urges pull you into yourself or pull yourself into some type of personal reaction that you recognize as normal. You might feel it coming on, and as you feel these emotions coming and bubbling up, you don't have to block them or stuff them. Just as you feel like you're turning away or shutting down or tuning out or whatever it is, you want to pause for a moment, reflect inward, and just breathe. And I mentioned before, bringing your hand to your heart. You can do that, man or woman. Remind yourself of compassion and ask yourself what your intention for your life is. Do you want to have this reaction? Maybe you do. Maybe it'll serve something, but maybe you'd rather not. And just don't be judgmental. Be aware of how you are, and maybe you can transform the reaction into something that's less personally harmful and more constructive. So instead of being harsh and loud and obnoxious, you can bring out your powerful inner warrior archetype and harness that instead of simply rage, to find a better way to channel your reaction. So just as you're about to step into a trap, an emotional trap, you can at least pause and take some deep breaths before moving on. Just paying attention to your body, paying attention to what you're feeling and sensing, and paying attention to your emotions. And here, Pema says, Pema Children, we have the capacity to wake up and live consciously. But you may have noticed we also have a strong inclination to stay asleep. It's as if we are always at a crossroad, continuously choosing which way to go. Moment by moment, we can choose to go forward and toward further clarity and happiness, or toward confusion and pain. So your choice is really up to you. Now we have a visualization exercise, and it's about really connecting again to our bodies tonight, to our emotions, to the parts of our bodies that hold stress and hold our emotions for us, and we want to work on letting go of this. So in your mind's eye, well, of course, you want to first get comfortable, but in your mind's eye, visualize a situation that you are or have been struggling with. Of course, remember compassion and realize that this is not happening right now. You might want to lie down and get comfortable, but just to remember compassion, remember your breath, remember to be gentle with yourself, and you might not want to tackle a big issue for this exercise. You might want to look at something smaller. You might look at, for instance, you might, like me, been trying to give up coffee, and I've been doing pretty good, but I noticed that I have been getting a cup or two a week, and I'm trying to cut it out completely down to decaf, but even that's not really that good. But anyway, so you might try something simple that you're trying to connect with, but still powerful. And the coffee exercise was really powerful for me. So recognizing something small, maybe you want to eat more fruit, maybe you want to talk to a relative in a kinder, gentler way, whatever it is, just to recognize this situation that you're having trouble with. Recognize that it's not happening right now. Feel compassion, comfort, and safety. It's not happening right now. And I know I don't want to give up, but I have to remind myself to have compassion and be willing to try again to let go of the need for coffee. Now, you're merely an observer here, but you have the power to witness as clearly and vividly as you can, as if you're watching your event as a movie. And if it doesn't feel okay to proceed, you can stop and wait for it to be okay. And allowing yourself to maintain a vantage point that's not colored or shaded or overshadowed by your emotions. Now, try to find a way to connect with what you felt in the moment about your situation. Maybe bring a word or a phrase or a gesture that describes it into your mind. It might just be a gesture, and that's okay. You don't necessarily need a word. For me, it was vulnerability and weakness that came to mind. But be precise and ask yourself how you feel. Maybe it's like me, it's comforted or at ease or tired, but it might be something like lonely, isolated, frustrated, hopeless, whatever the feeling is, just to recognize it, to feel it. Maybe give your feeling an actual name. And I called mine Turn the Gears. Now, be aware of the physical sensations that arise in your body as a result of your emotions that you're identifying. It might be that your stomach tightens, or your arms feel constricted, or your shoulders begin to feel tight, or your solar plexus feels tingly. Whatever it is, notice that and scan your body and notice any other areas that your memories bring up stress around, and feel how they feel, and notice how the body wants to react. Does it want to crunch down or get small? Does it want to run away? Find these feelings and connect with them, and notice if there's any particular spot that's holding on to the experience especially strongly. For me, it was my shoulders, and the phrase that came to mind was, it's a lot to carry or drag. So you can place your hand on that part of your body and say something out loud like, this bothers me, this is painful, or another sentence or something that comes to mind. And then begin to send compassion to that part of your body and love. And have an intention to release the feeling and let it go. Thank it for serving you. You might ask how it served you later on, but for now, we're going to invite it to leave and let it go. And we're not going to be holding on to it. We're not going to judge it. We'll just let it go. Later on, you can come back to it and review it if you like. But we're not judging. We're having compassion for it. We're giving it some part of what it needs, some compassion, some forgiveness, some freedom to move on. And then next, you might begin to look at the chakras that are related to it, or ask, as I mentioned, what the pain has served in your life, if you like to look deeper and connect with the shadow aspects of it. And in the chat room, I notice Donna called her feeling unsettled in. And whatever you called your feeling, just notice how it felt, to connect with it, to release it, and to feel and notice how you feel now. Do you feel a little bit lighter, a little bit more energized? You have more space to connect to your intuition, to really listen to yourself. And Anonymous 0171 mentioned it felt like the zoo. Well, to ask yourself why it felt that way. Maybe you're comfortable at the zoo. I don't know. Maybe you're not comfortable. But just to notice the normal stress and busyness and chaos of the zoo, and to wonder why that is, and to see how you might bring some stillness and quiet to that, and to be able to recognize what that might be covering up, what that might be serving for you. Just to notice. And we're really talking about noticing and making room for your intuition, for your body to have greater capacity to sense and feel and connect with ourselves and our emotions. Now, I have a quote to share from St. Francis of Assisi. He says, "You learn to speak by speaking, to study by studying, to run by running, to work by working, and just so you'll learn to love by loving. And those who think to learn in any other way deceive themselves." So really, just to connect to the issue at hand, which is our emotions, is really to practice feeling them and to be in that practice on a regular basis. And as I mentioned at the start of the show, you might have a practice where you pull a card, a tarot card, or a rune, or whatever your divination tool of choice is, and work with it for a week, and to ask it questions about how it might help you to open up to your emotions. And I mentioned several other questions that you can also review, but you can come up with your own. And just to notice what it's bringing you, what each card is bringing you each week, and to use it to deepen and open up to your greater awareness. And Colin in the chat room says he felt a need to complete. I guess that's complete. I'm not sure what that means. I guess to finish or to be whole. I don't know if you left out B, but I guess it sort of feels sort of judgmental. If I add the B, maybe that's me. So just to look at whether that's a judgmental statement or feeling, and to work on letting that go, and to recognize that you're okay the way that you are, and to have compassion for yourself. Always remember compassion, and to begin to wonder how you can feel if you just have the compassion for yourself and have a regular meditation practice around that, and to work on letting go of the things that block you from your intuition, and just to notice where your emotions tend to pull you. So we're almost at the end of the show. We have about 4.5 minutes left. So I'd like to remind you to go to my forum here at awakenradio.net, and you can review the past shows. There's links to listen to them right in the forum, and there's a brief synopsis of each show right there, and you can pose questions to me in the forum, and I have links to my Facebook and Twitter pages right there, so you can link to me from my forum account. And my Twitter account for this show is Intuition by Rob, and you can also come to my fan page on Facebook, which is Your Unfolding Senses, and there's tips and techniques in there like the ones I've been talking about tonight, all for free, that you can tune in and listen to on Facebook and Twitter. And if you follow me on Twitter, I tweet about the topics I'm talking about and other people's tweets that are relating to that, and all that kind of stuff related to intuition and connecting with your inner voice. And you can also go into the shop area of the Awakened store of Awakened Radio and order a reading with me right there. Just click on through all the links to, I believe it's the Divine Connections, and you can order a reading from me there. And if you have any kind of questions, you can contact me in the forum or on Twitter or Facebook, and I'm more than happy to talk with you about your questions. Or you can call in next week with a question too. So feel free to contact me here or my various accounts. And I want to remind you that we have another show up next, Christina Chandler, and please be sure to stay tuned for her. And I want to thank Chris Beulah for her show, and I want to thank Susan Kern for her show as well, which are before me. They start at 6 p.m. Eastern, I believe, each week. Susan's on at 6. Chris is on at 7, and then I'm on at 8, and Christina's on at 9. So it's a great night to listen to us. We all pretty much talk about the same thing, only with different language, and it's all about opening to your intuition, trusting yourself, having compassion for yourself, believing in yourself, and really recognizing that you're powerful, far more powerful than you let yourself believe. So I welcome you to begin to develop tarot practice, as I was talking about tonight, for yourself. And next week we'll talk about how to take that to a deeper level and have some more intuitive challenges. And I post those to my Facebook page as well. I have a What's in the Bag challenge a couple of times a week sometimes. So feel free to take part in that. And I want to thank you again for joining me tonight. And thank you for everyone who posted their intuitive hits in the chat room.